Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the Alamo Area Council of Governments Public Education Series. This content is brought to you through a grant by the Texas Department of Agriculture and through a joint effort with local law enforcement and the Alamo Area Council of Governments. This video will cover credit and debit card skimmers. Our area has seen a steady rise in these types of crimes, and it is important that you become aware of how criminals illegally obtain your credit and debit card information. Since 2016, over 530 skimming devices have been identified in San Antonio alone. And while law enforcement is doing all they can to combat this crime, they're often unaware of card skimming activity until a crime is reported by an unsuspecting consumer. That is why it is important for you to become aware of this problem and to be able to recognize these devices before becoming a victim. There are three main learning objectives that will be covered during this video. Number 1, we will explain how card skimmers work and how the data is obtained and fraudulently used. Secondly, we will show you the different types of skimmers used so you can better understand how these devices are altered. Finally, we will cover the ways that you can protect yourself from becoming a victim of card theft by identifying signs of tampering, as well as best practices to avoid compromising your credit and debit card information. You will also learn what to do if you see a suspicious device or observe suspicious activity. So, let's get started. Section 1. What are card skimmers and how do they work? In this section, we will look more closely at card skimmers. We will examine how they work, show you images of skimming devices, as well as review how the compromised information they obtain is used. But first, let's examine the problem these devices have created in the state of Texas. According to the FBI, it is estimated that skimming costs financial institutions and consumers more than $1 billion each year. A single undetected skimmer can make between $15,000 and $60,000 in a week. From December 2016 through November 2018, about 1,400 illegal card skimmers were reported throughout the state. In San Antonio, there have been over 530 devices reported since 2016. In 2019, at least 128 skimmers were seized in San Antonio. During the first 6 months of 2019, Houston police filed 82 cases where at least one credit card skimmer was found. The cases covered 57 locations in Houston, the majority of which were located at gas stations. And while most activity has been concentrated in the larger metropolitan areas, skimming devices can be placed on many ATM machines and gas pumps, so even rural areas are not immune to these types of crimes. Card skimmers have been around for a while now. There had been rumors of their existence years before an actual device was confirmed. In 2002, CBS News confirmed the existence of devices that could record the names, account numbers, and other identifying information from the magnetic stripes to be downloaded onto a personal computer later. In 2003, customers using an ATM located at a New York City deli lost about $200,000 in one day just from this one single skimmer. So what exactly is a card skimmer? Simply put, a card skimmer is a device that electronically intercepts a legitimate financial transaction. Card skimmers use a crude but effective method to lift data from your credit and debit cards. Let's look closer at the anatomy of skimmers and how they work. Skimmers can be found on a variety of devices, from ATMs, point-of-sale terminals, and most commonly, gas pumps. Card skimmers can read your card data without your knowledge. These devices are often purchased or constructed by criminals using plans available online, so they are not hard to construct or install. Early devices used to require physical retrieval of the device in order to access the stolen data, but with the development of Bluetooth technology, today's skimmers allow criminals to retrieve the stolen card data from anywhere by cell phone text in real time. Now, in order to gain total access to an account, thieves also need the account PIN. Skimmers also use a hidden camera placed over the keypad to capture keystrokes. Some types of skimmers may also use an actual keypad overlay that fits over the original keypad and can be hard to detect. Both of these methods provide criminals your PIN and with that, full access to your bank account. Just thinking about these implications can be unsettling. Once these individuals have your information, you may ask yourself, how do they use this data? If they don't have the card, is it still possible for someone to withdraw funds from my account? The answer, unfortunately, is yes. These criminals will try to access your bank account and withdraw the maximum withdrawal limit without you knowing your account has been compromised, since you don't even realize they have your information. They can also buy gift cards or purchase money orders until the account is deactivated. Some criminals will even use the card data to fill up tanks of gas to resell. Another tactic used is to encode the stolen card data onto counterfeit cards. In this scenario, criminals will use these bogus cards with the stolen PINs to withdraw cash from accounts at ATMs. They can also use these counterfeit cards to make in-store or online purchases. And there are also ways for your information to be sold on the dark web, as these crimes are often suspected to be part of a larger organized crime operation that specializes in selling information on the internet. Remember, victims of credit card skimming are often unaware of the theft until they notice unauthorized charges on their account, have their card unexpectedly declined, or receive notification of an overdraft. Section 2. Types of card skimmers. In this section, we will be taking a look at the different types of card skimmers. We will show you some images of these different types of skimmers in the hope that you will be able to possibly identify these illegal devices and better protect yourself from becoming a victim of credit card fraud. We will look at ATM, point-of-sale devices, and gas pump skimmers. ATM. One of the main reasons these devices work so well is that they are virtually undetectable by consumers. The makers of these skimmers are very skilled at creating devices to blend into the ATM panel. The device used is often a very realistic-looking card reader that is placed over the factory-installed card reader. Unsuspecting customers will insert their debit card into the reader, and their account info is swiped and stored on a small attached laptop, a cell phone, or sent wirelessly to the criminals who installed the skimmer. Skimming typically involves the use of a hidden camera, installed on or near an ATM, to record customers' entry of their PINs into the ATM keypad. These criminals can also use a phony keypad overlay instead of a camera to record the customer's PIN entry. In the past, skimming devices were installed for short periods of time, usually just for a few hours, so they were often attached to an ATM with double-sided tape. This type of setup would require criminals to physically recover the devices in order to download the compromised data entered by customers. In 2016, there was a rapid rise in reports of deep insert skimmers. These wafer-thin devices were designed to be hidden inside of the card acceptance slot on an ATM. These were different from typical skimmers because they are placed completely within the card reader and completely hidden from the consumer. These devices are easily obtained and can be found online for about $500, making it an appealing investment for criminals. Keep in mind that ATMs located at bank branch locations are much less likely to be targets of card skimming, given the on-site maintenance and 24-hour surveillance. To limit your potential exposure to becoming a victim of card skimmers at an ATM, you should ask yourself some questions when making a decision whether or not to utilize a particular ATM. Who owns the machine? Who is branded on the machine? Who services the machine? And is video surveillance available? We are all familiar with seeing standalone ATMs in small mom-and-pop convenience stores or maybe at outdoor events. Most of these ATMs are owned by reputable independent companies. However, they do lack some important security aspects that could prevent you from becoming a victim of fraud. ATMs owned by well-established financial institutions or credit unions typically offer top-line servicing and security features, such as video monitoring, that make it much more difficult to be tampered with. Point-of-sale terminals, machines that swipe credit or debit card transactions, have also been known to be targeted by criminals using skimmers, but these incidences are rare. Gas pumps. Gas pumps are the most common tactic used by card skimmers when targeting consumer credit and debit cards. The typical method of installation for gas pump skimmers tends to occur on weekends, often in the early morning hours. Usually carried out by 2 to 3 suspects, they will pretend to complete a legitimate transaction and pump gas. One suspect may be positioned as a lookout, while a second will be responsible for creating a diversion by entering the store. They may pay for a small amount of gas or make a purchase to distract attention away from the gas pump. Meanwhile, the third suspect will place a skimming device inside the pump by opening the terminal with a universal key. The team can do this installation in as little as 5 minutes. The appearance of the gas pump skimmer can be hard to catch by someone with an untrained eye, as they look like regular pump electronic components. They are typically assembled from legal materials that can be purchased online. And since the components are concealed within the terminal, customers may never know that a device has been installed. Over the years, technology has improved and made the data retrieval much easier for illegal card skimmers. As early as 2014, Bluetooth technology has been used in the commission of card fraud. In New York, 13 men stole $2.1 million using Bluetooth skimmers at gas stations throughout the southern United States. Investigators say the men gained access to pumps at gas stations throughout Georgia, South Carolina, and Texas, and installed skimming devices such as the ones described. In the past, these skimmers had to be physically removed in order for criminals to retrieve the card data. But today, both Bluetooth and SMS technology is used to send the information directly to these criminals. Amazingly, these suspects don't even have to be in the same city, state, or country. It goes without saying that the older the gas pump, the less secure your transaction becomes. Older pumps often use a vertical card slot that allows you to swipe your card to complete the transaction. These card readers use a membrane keypad, which is much less secure as the electronics are not encrypted. Also, entry into these terminals is accessible through an easily obtained universal key. Section 3. How to protect yourself. So, you may be asking yourself, what can you do to protect yourself from becoming a victim of card skimmers? Given the way card skimmers are concealed, it may seem like you have no way of ensuring that the next ATM or gas pump you're using does not contain a skimmer. And while most incidents of card skimming are not discovered until after a crime has been reported, there are things you can do to prevent this from happening to you. Keep your eyes open for any suspicious activity. Suspicious activity can include anything out of the ordinary when you're pumping gas. If you see any suspicious activity at a gas pump, report it to the clerk. If you see people who don't work at the gas station opening a gas pump, especially after hours, call the police. If you see people selling gas from a private vehicle, you should call the police. If you locate a gas pump that has been tampered with, report it to the clerk. If you think you have become a victim of a card skimmer, here are some things you should do. If you notice a suspicious transaction, call your bank immediately to freeze the account. The sooner you react, the more likely you will be able to limit funds being withdrawn from your account or charges made on your card. You should then call the gas station and the police to report the incident, so they can prevent others from becoming a victim of the illegal card skimmer. Prevention. While most card skimmers will be hard to spot, you can also do several things to prevent yourself from becoming a victim. How can you tell if a skimmer is attached to a gas pump or ATM? The best thing to do is use your senses, especially your eyes, along with the knowledge gained from this video. Take a look at nearby gas pumps or ATM machines. They should all have the same uniform setup. If the gas pump or ATM you're at looks different from the other machines, don't use it. On gas pumps, look for the security tape. Many gas stations now put security tape over the access door, and it will reveal any tampering, even to the casual observer. You might make it a habit to use pumps within a direct line of sight of clerks or store employees. Pumps that are located closer to the storefront are less likely to have been tampered with than those located further away or on the perimeter. Another good practice to follow is to obscure the keypad with your hand when entering your PIN if using the debit option. This will block any cameras from recording your PIN. Look for signs of tampering. These signs may even be present with an internal skimmer. Some things that can indicate tampering include different colored parts that don't match the rest of the machine, graphics that are not lined up, LED lights on the card reader that don't flash clearly or that seem to be covered, and signs of physical tampering on the keypad or the card reader. Often, when a device has been tampered with, some of the hardware fittings may be loose. ATMs and gas pumps are solidly constructed and should not have loose parts, so you should make it a habit to wiggle parts of the device. Push or pull at different parts of the machine, especially the card reader. If they appear loose or tampered with, don't use the machine. Finally, trust your instincts and use your best judgment. If you suspect an ATM or gas pump has been altered, don't use it. Make it a point to also notify the business of your concerns so that no one else becomes a victim. You also have alternative transaction options to help keep your information safe. If possible, use a credit card or the credit option on your debit card. Credit transactions offer significantly more fraud protection than debit cards, making it easier to file a claim. Also, using the credit card option for your debit card will not require your PIN, keeping that information safe. Gas pumps also now offer touchless credit card transactions. This will allow you to completely bypass swiping your card and is a much safer option. You can also use mobile pay credit options, such as Android Pay or Apple Pay, using the NFC feature on your mobile device. If you do, be sure to manually turn on and off the NFC on your device after each transaction. If at all possible, use cash so that you can keep your card information securely in your possession. Finally, monitor your transactions carefully. We have gotten so accustomed to the convenience of online banking. Take advantage of this and make it a point to check your transaction history often. If you run across any suspicious activity, notify your bank immediately. Reporting the matter as soon as possible can limit your liability for any fraudulent transactions, as well as preventing ongoing fraud. This video has been brought to you by the Alamo Area Council of Governments through a grant from the Texas Department of Agriculture to help minimize the impact and reduce the number of skimmer devices implanted in fuel pumps throughout Texas. We hope you found the information in this video to be helpful. While it may seem difficult to avoid becoming a victim of card skimmer fraud, with a little extra awareness, you will be able to keep your credit and debit information safe when making transactions. Remember to always report suspicious activities to store personnel or law enforcement to help keep others from having their financial information compromised. And thanks for watching.